Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lithia's 2025 Manufacturing Survey and Analysis webinar. This event is being recorded. All attendees have been muted for the event. Please use the chat feature to submit questions for a Q&A session to be held at the end of the presentation, time permitting. Answers to questions not addressed during the live event will be emailed within the next 24 hours. At this time, I'll hand the presentation over to today's host, Ron Scott.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Linda. So welcome everyone to our webinar today. It's Alithia's 2025 Manufacturing and Analysis Report, the trends, the challenges, and solutions. I'm your host, Ron Scott, Senior Director of Pre-Sales at Alithia, and I'm really thrilled to be joined by two distinguished experts who will help us unpack the findings of that survey. We have Steve Reed, who is a VP of Sales for Microsoft, and Chris Monero, who is the VP of Manufacturing for Oracle. Steve and Chris each bring decades of experience in manufacturing technology to today's discussion, and we welcome you both.
Awesome. Thanks, Ron. It's really good to be here. As someone, like you said, I've spent about 3 decades helping manufacturers digitally transform their operations, including 26 years with Alithia. And, I really look forward to the release of this report each year. I find that it provides a crucial snapshot of the industry's pulse. And so it'll be a good conversation today.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And as a relative newcomer to Alithia, having spent more than 40 years with companies including Pratt & Whitney, KPMG, IBM, and Accenture, I appreciate Alithia's approach to the comprehensive nature of the survey and how it provides a holistic view of how manufacturers navigate the evolving landscape with a lot of confidence.
Awesome. This year's survey gathers insights from over 135 manufacturing professionals across all kinds of sectors. The report clearly indicates that manufacturers are accelerating their adoption of advanced technology to address major challenges, including supply chain resilience, quality control, cybersecurity, and sustainability. Let's dive right into some of the key findings. Chris, let's start with the first key finding. Manufacturers foresee a wave of changes that are going to shape their investment priorities. What caught your eye here?
Yeah, the report is very clear. Participants intend to invest in, most often in supply chain and AI technology with a focus on improving automation, machine learning, IoT, advanced analytics. This isn't about adopting new tools. 40% of the participants expect these technologies to significantly increase efficiencies and reduce costs in the coming year, resulting in a direct positive business impact.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. The focus on skills development is also important. We see that in this year's report. It's a key change that we've seen since we started doing the survey back in 2022. What we've seen is that the workforce strategies have been evolving during that time from hiring to upskilling and resilience, with cybersecurity becoming a training priority. 50% of this year's respondents stated they will cross-train workers and expand skill redundancy, and 45% emphasize remote work strategies. This really shows an understanding that technology alone isn't enough. The workforce needs to evolve alongside it. Also, attracting and retaining skilled labor remains a top priority for nearly 40% of the respondents.
Awesome. And just to address the attendees for a second, as we go through, we're going to run through some slides and we're going to discuss the findings. And as soon as we're done with that, we're going to get into just discussions on topics of interest. So as we're going through and we're showing some slides and talking about some of the challenges, feel free to go into the chat and make some comments, or if you like what you're seeing, hit the react icon. If there's something you'd like us to discuss, put it down in the chat window. So when we're done running through these slides, we'll look through those topics and add them into our discussion. Okay, so technology and people are deemed equally critical, and personnel investments extend into security as well, right, Chris?
Exactly. The report notes that 45% are conducting regular cybersecurity training and upskilling. It's a significant commitment to personnel in a critical area, almost on par with network infrastructure investments. This speaks to the heightened security risk of manufacturing facing across the board.
Yeah, and on the supply chain side, Ron, the report highlights supplier transparency amid a globalized environment as a major concern. About 35% noted the risk of disruptions and are prioritizing building resilience, while market uncertainty and cost management are also top of mind for over 30%. These are persistent issues that demand strategic responses.
It's clear that the industry is facing multiple pressures, but it's also optimistic. The report mentions that a high percentage of mid-market manufacturers are bullish about growth opportunities. What did the survey reveal about manufacturers' top innovation priorities?
Over 50% of the respondents indicated that innovating operations become more efficient as a top priority, similar to what we just saw in the poll result here. The report emphasizes that this begins by effectively leveraging data and moving toward decision grounded in empirical data analysis versus just through intuition.
Yeah, Chris, that's a great point. And this focus on efficiency through data is really key. When we look at how they plan to achieve this, the report highlights the role of AI. Automating routine tasks using AI tools is seen as a highly effective way to improve operational efficiency, freeing up employees for more creative and problem-solving tasks.
Okay, so I guess the good news is it's not about replacing the humans. It's more about augmenting the humans with some AI functionality.
Yeah, it's absolutely wrong. The survey found that only 2% of respondents ranked using technology to replace workers as a top priority, which is kind of interesting due to what's going on with the AI world today. AI and robotics are valued at bringing speed and precision, addressing labor shortages, enhancing job satisfaction, increasing productivity, and dramatically reducing production errors.
That's a very positive outlook on AI's role. What emerging technologies are manufacturers anticipating adopting to meet these priorities in the next year?
Yeah, Ron, for that, some of the top answers were really illuminating. 57% anticipate adopting process automation technologies. 47% had supply chain and AI technology. 42% predictive analytics, and then 16%, specific AI copilot technology. These are clearly the areas where manufacturers see immediate value.
Yeah, based on similar research by Forbes, 93% of manufacturers perceive AI as a transformative technology that will drive change into 2025 and beyond. Coupled with IoT, which is paving the way for more efficient production, is a significant and persistent shift.
So the promise of innovation is leading to tangible benefits like increased efficiency, cost reduction, improved quality, enhanced data insights, and supply chain improvement. This leads us nearly into the primary focus on digital transformation, neatly into it. Steve, what's the overarching goal for manufacturers in this area for the next year?
Yeah, digitalization in all its forms is a top innovation priority. Survey respondents recognize the critical role that data plays. We mentioned that just a minute ago in this process, with strong data analytics forming the foundation for capabilities like predictive maintenance.
Yeah, agreed. The survey's detailed findings show that 35% of companies are primarily focused on enhancing data analytics and predictive maintenance, while only 28% are focused on implementing AI and machine learning tools.
So that's a strong leaning towards data and AI. Alithya has a specific recommendation on where to begin this journey, correct?
Yeah, we do, and it's a crucial point. At Alithya, we recommend beginning with ERP to establish a strong backbone or foundation before investing heavily in AI. An ERP system and strong, clean data are needed for AI to truly enhance the organization's processes and systems. Without that, AI might not deliver the expected ROI. And it just goes without saying, if you've got unclean data that doesn't have all the right information, you're just going to get to the wrong answer faster.
Yeah, the benefits of enhanced data analytics are significant. McKinsey research suggested as even accelerated growth in the U.S. manufacturing sector. Specific benefits include predictive maintenance, real-time monitoring, quality assurance, increased productivity, production efficiency, and supply chain optimization.
Sounds like data and AI are becoming the nerve center of modern manufacturing, which is really no surprise. Well, let's transition to a topic that's gaining increasing momentum, which is sustainability. Why is this becoming such a focus for manufacturers, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, manufacturing sector is energy and materials intensive, often accounting for a high proportion of greenhouse gas emissions as well. The increased focus is driven by pressure from shareholders and growing government compliance regimes. Sustainability is becoming less of a buzzword and more of a business requirement.
Yeah, indeed. In practice, this means greater emphasis on less polluting materials and reducing waste, supported by business software solutions. The survey shows that 54% are planning waste reduction measures and 50% plan to enhance energy efficiency by upgrading equipment and processes. These are concrete steps.
How does cloud computing tie into the sustainability initiatives?
Well, it's a significant connection. Accenture Research, cited in a report, suggests that migrating workloads to the public cloud can reduce emissions by optimizing data storage and computing.
Exactly. Technology vendors like Alithya, in collaboration with public cloud providers such as Microsoft, Oracle, and Amazon Web Services, can support these initiatives by creating tools for tracking sustainability practices or using AI and data analytics to develop predictive models of environmental impacts. This highlights the increased role of technology in driving sustainability goals.
That's powerful. So speaking of cloud computing, what role do manufacturers see it playing in their operations in 2025?
Well, Ron, the survey indicates that cloud computing is seen as essential for real-time data management and collaboration, and useful for specific applications like ERP and CRP systems.
Yeah, Steve, this makes sense as cloud-based applications help manufacturers boost uptime, improve backup, scale applications, and data sets more rapidly. Alithya advises that cloud momentum will continue to grow over the next 5 years, eventually becoming a critical component in regulatory compliance, which is a big statement.
All right, so let's talk about disruptions in business continuity. We've seen a lot of global instability. What are manufacturers doing to address these challenges?
Well, recent years have presented numerous shocks to the system, from union strikes and shipping conflicts to changing trade policies. Manufacturers are looking at strategies like contingency planning, scenario modeling, and work agility. The survey shows that cross-training and skill redundancy and supply chain resilience are top strategies to ensure business continuity.
Yes, Steve, while those are critical, the report points out that technology integration ranked relatively low at 23% as a direct strategy for addressing disruptions. This might indicate a missed opportunity, as integrated tech solutions can significantly help in managing supply chain issues and speeding up cross-training as well.
That's a good point about the perception of technology's broader role. Diving deeper into supply chain resilience, what strategies are emerging as most effective?
Well, manufacturers are highly focused on strengthening relationships with key suppliers, and in some cases, even to shrink the number of suppliers that they're working with. And then also the results were diversifying their supplier base. There's also a notable trend toward nearshoring, which involves engaging suppliers in their own country or region of the world.
And from a technology standpoint, ERP systems provide a strong foundation for better supplier management. The report also highlights that AI-enhanced demand forecasting will help manufacturers optimize inventories and reduce waste.
Awesome. Finally, let's talk about cybersecurity. Ransomware attacks have increased by 37% in 2024. What steps are manufacturers taking to enhance their cybersecurity measures?
Well, top actions are upgrading network infrastructure with new security technologies and implementing multi-factor authentication. Regular cybersecurity training for employees is also high on that list.
Yeah, this is critical. The bad guys are becoming so much more sophisticated, especially with the advent of AI, especially with the rise of steal now, decrypt later threats, and the fact that the mass deployment of AI is expanding the attack surface. It's no longer just about preventing attacks, it's about building resilience. Cloud-based ERP models with their built-in security controls and certifications are seen to align well with the broader security planning plan.
Awesome. This has been an incredibly insightful discussion. I'm sure we can go on for multiple hours on this. It's clear that the manufacturing sector is navigating a very complex yet exciting period with technology at the heart of future success. All right, so we have a few minutes left for a Q&A session. If you have any questions that have come up throughout the presentation or you just think about now, go ahead and put it in the chat window. If we can't get to all of the questions during that session, we'll reach out directly with our responses. So I believe that Linda is going to take over with some Q&A.
Yes, we do have a question that I'm going to throw your way, Chris.
Okay.
Do you believe that material requirements planning, MRP, will eventually become an antiquated process because of AI?
In a nutshell, no. AI, like all the other tools and advancements, will have an impact on MRP, making it more timely and more accurate. For example, there are over 5,000 oncology papers written every day in the world. No doctor can consume even a small fraction of that. When you start applying the same concepts in manufacturing, AI will become the factor of factoring in macroeconomic activities, factoring in weather trends, factoring other disruptions, geopolitical impacts, and so much more. So what you'll end up getting is a much better and MRP forecast. But no, it's essentially just another tool that we've added to, from moving it from paper to compute to AI to what comes next. No, AI will just become another key enabler to bring in a lot more information to make the forecast much more accurate.
Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
So, Steve, a question for you now.
Okay.
Do you think that people are getting real value from AI today? Or is it similar to the evolution of cloud computing, which took at least a decade to gain traction and begin demonstrating true value?
Yeah, Linda, what we're seeing in part of this is even within our own organization is that we are seeing real value coming from AI. It's saving, from a report that may not be all that difficult, but it's just time consuming to put together from various sources that AI can handle literally in minutes instead of hours. And then with the advent of agent or agentic AI, we're seeing where as people are working to be able to have an agent, if you will, that's working on their behalf, that's not going beyond what they want it to do, but within the confines of security that's been established, it can handle renewal orders. It can handle contacting, maybe helping contact customers that we've lost touch with. Just all sorts of things like that, where you're seeing value coming from those agents. So I do see organizations getting value today from it. I think we're going to see that move even quicker. And the speed that you'll see the adoption of AI, I think is going to outpace what we saw with cloud computing.
Thank you, Steve. Back to you, Chris, for one more question.
Sure.
Will the continually increasing need for more data centers and the electricity needed to power those centers for AI purposes be sustainable? And can it be done in an ethical manner?
That's a really great question. AI, exponential growth is not compute limited right now, it's power limited. We have nuclear power plants like 3 Mile Island being brought online. And that's kind of interesting because 3 Mile Island, I did the research up there. 3 Mile Island was powering 800,000 homes and businesses when it was live. And now they're talking about repurposing 3 Mile Island only to power AI data centers. So I think AI is going to be just a phenomenal increase in societal impacts, but it's going to require a significant rethinking of power generation, the power grid. But obviously, this needs to be done in ethical and sustainable manners, because organizations such as, whether it's Microsoft, Oracle, Amazon Web Services, et cetera, they're not going to be going through and creating a lot of more coal-fired or other type of power generation capability. So they look to clean energy, and they need to have a clean, and what they need to have is guaranteed clean energy. So wind, solar, et cetera, that's not necessarily going to be able to make it for them. So they need to look into something along nuclear and others that gives them the sustainability, but also gives them the green capability that they need to be able to make this happen. So it's really going to be interesting to see how AI plays out and what it's going to do to the overall power grid as well.
Yeah, and Linda, if I could just tag on to Chris's comment, I agree with him. It's interesting today, in fact, in Pennsylvania, there is actually an energy summit that's being held, and that's one of the topics is around the need for power for AI compute. The five largest hyperscalers, they're on record committing $320 billion of capex, in building these data centers, and in each data center will have this huge need to draw power. And so that's a lot of what the conversation is about, is how to provide that. And it will be, I think the answer is, it's going to be all forms of how to provide that. Like Chris was saying, it's wind, it's solar, it's fossil fuel, it's all the above. It's nuclear, bringing that back. You've got, the small nuclear reactor is a big area that's getting a lot of investment and a lot of notoriety right now. So I think you're going to see that happen, and to be able to balance that need for power and at the same time doing it in a responsible, sustainable manner.
I think one other aspect of this, where do they build these darn things? We've probably all been reading the stories about building new data centers and people complain about the noise and the fans and everything else going on out there. So it also matters where they build them, and so that they don't go through and impact the lives of the community around them as well.
One of the topics that in the meetings in Pennsylvania today actually talked about that, Chris, and they were talking about literally building the data centers where the power is being produced. So rather than generating the power and shipping the power hundreds and hundreds of miles to the data center, they're saying just build the data center right next to where the power is being generated. That property is already designated for that type of zoning, and so it just made sense. Just put the data center there, consume the power, and then what you're then moving out of the data center is going. You're moving, taking data and shipping it out as information. So you've actually transformed it and now sending it out as real meaningful information.
Yeah, I laugh because years ago when I worked at Pratt & Whitney, the Pratt & Whitney data center was right across the river from the power plant. So they ran a dedicated line from the power plant directly into the Pratt & Whitney data center.
Yeah,
which worked out great until some guy with his backhoe in his backyard went and dug it up. So making these co-located makes a lot of sense as well.
Yeah.
Thank you both. That was some very insightful comments on a very important question. I have one more question I'm going to throw your way, Steve, but we'll keep Chris on board in case he has some information to add. But how can a company be sure they're ready to select and implement a new ERP system? Why do they fail and why do they succeed?
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's
Glad you got that one.
yeah. So that'll be the next webinar, Linda. No, look, it really there's there's a lot of factors, but it really does come down to, and it's actually a really good question. It's one that we like to ask our clients. Why are you doing this? And it needs to be more than just, oh, well, we've got an old system, or couple of people are about to retire. It really needs to be about, wow, we're looking to transform our business, and we're looking for the ERP system. The ERP system won't transform your business, but it can give you the tools that allow your people to transform your business. And that's ultimately what we're looking to provide them with, are the capabilities. And again, that's where, when you layer in AI and agentic AI on top of that, then it really does become transformative. As far as, hey, what makes a successful project, what makes it unsuccessful? Obviously, the right partner is going to come into play. That's key. Making sure you get the product that's right for you, for your industry, your business. Again, our guidance on that is, don't just look at where your business is today and say, well, this is the right solution for today, but where are you going? Where are you going to be in 3 and 5 and 20 years? Where's the business driving? And that's where you want software that's gonna line up to that and support that type of growth. But at the same time, as it's important to get the right product and the right partner, it's also important to have the right mindset, as an organization that's going to be doing the implementation. Implementing it's not just technology change; it's a people change. And so, as an organization, you've got to be committed to it. I mean, it's upheaval, and being able to not just commit money to it, but committing time to it, committing not just resources, but committing the right resources to the project is really critical. And so when we look back on our projects that have been successful, we see, yeah, hey, we've done a good job, but also the customer did a really good job. They communicated internally, they had a plan, they put the right people, they invested in making the right people available for the project. And so all of that comes having executive support to make those tough calls. All of that becomes critical to helping that project succeed.
And
Chris,
Steve,
Ron,
yeah, Steve, I agree with all of that. The other thing I'd encourage organizations to do is that, many organizations that are running ERP systems today, it's usually not one ERP system. Usually they've grown through acquisition, and maybe a plethora of different systems out there. So go through and take a rationalization. And remember, all those decisions are brilliantly made probably a decade or more ago as far as what was right back then. I highly encourage organizations that they have a solution today, just don't assume that it's easier just to take what you have today and upgrade. The technology underpinnings, whether it's Oracle, Microsoft, SAP, or others, have changed dramatically from what they were even 5 or 10 or 15, 20 years ago. And the cost differentials can be significant. I once did an analysis where the company was going through and doing they just plan on doing an upgrade of what they have today to go to the new system. And the estimate came back at over $100 million. And the board of directors just went, you got to be kidding me. I'm not paying $100 million for this. What else in the marketplace? We made that decision 20 years ago. And we started looking into it, and other alternatives came back at less than $50 million. So the person with the best information negotiates the best deal. So no matter what you're on today, I would highly encourage every organization to look and see what's available in the marketplace, and then go through and negotiate your best deal. In this situation, they went from over $100 million to less than $50 million just by looking to see what's in the market.
Excellent.
That's great
Thank you.
insight.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, Steve, or shall we move to the next question?
No, nothing else for me, Linda.
Okay. So I'll throw this one your way, Chris, but also interested in any response you might have, Steve. What do you think human and machine integration will look like in 5 years?
Well, this is a really crystal ball question. I'd say that, machines and humans are already integrated. If we don't think so, try taking your smartphone away from your kids. That's like, that's going to shut down. Their world revolves around that today. So I characterize what we have today as far as human machine integration as being loosely integrated, but that's changing at a rapid pace as well. We look at the Neuralink that was recently implanted into an individual where they can control a computer by their brain. Well, they didn't take that far enough, so they now gone through and taught through AI what that individual's voice was, and now that individual can converse in real time in his language. And so all this just at the beginning. So I think the machine human integration is going to move from a loose to a more tightly coupled integration. Look at hearing aids. The technology is in your iPhone now to be able to have a conversation in multiple languages, where you can be speaking in French, the iPhone will translate it. What I hear through my hearing aids is in English. And likewise, going the reverse. So all of that capability is there today. So I think we're just really at the beginning of what all this is going to represent, whether it's from smart prosthetics, neural implants. I think what's coming up as far as the human machine continued integration, moving more and more into a tightly coupled integration, is going to have probably the most profound impacts on the human race probably ever. And it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when and how fast things are going to move. because these things are already being done. And once we prove the theory, it expands at geometric pace. Steve, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it is. I agree, Chris. I think it's changing. And I was laughing about talking about taking your iPhone from your kid. Take your iPhone away from one of us. There's so much work,
Please.
so much work that we do. While you're in transit, you can stay up on emails, you can be on Teams, you can be on a phone call. Sometimes you're doing all the above at the same time. Obviously, not while driving a vehicle. But you can do all of that. You can be getting guidance on road conditions and what's going to slow you down, and so all of that interconnectedness in many ways is there, and it may be primitive in when we look back on this in 20 years, but I do think a lot of those things are in play today. You do look at how robotics are becoming more and more integrated into manufacturing. I know it maybe multiple do, but I know of at least one car company that's using robots in their QA process. And so, having these dog looking like robots that, cars come over to them, and they're looking not only at the physical, what you can see physically, but they can actually look through the material, so they can see bolts that may not have been done or welds that may not be completely correct. They can see on the stitching. They can just see detail that as a human it might take a lot of people to be able to do all that level of QA type work. So I do see that coming about, and I think as we think of it, the initial thought is to, and I think it was brought up earlier in the conversation earlier about, well, is AI, or in this case AI enabled robots, are they going to take my job away from me? Is that my future going away? And I really don't think that's the case. I think this is like any other innovation and any other revolution that takes place. Yes, the job of today may go away to a robot, but it's going to create other jobs, other opportunities. And so that's what I think is happening. I don't think AI is going to take someone's job. I think someone who knows AI and knows how to leverage it and use it, that's who will be having no problem finding a job. And I think the same is true in the use of robotics and how we utilize them to allow us to be more productive, more efficient in the work that we're doing.
I think it was Satya Nadella that said in the very near future, companies aren't going to be hiring human beings. They're going to be hiring human beings with their army of agents that they bring along with them. So, how does AI make you a more efficient person? Not how does it replace you?
Yeah, and efficiency is kind of interesting, as well, Ron. But how many times per day does the average American check their iPhone or their smartphone? 159 times per day is the answer. And the interesting
that seems a little low to me.
Well, let me check. But it's interesting that with the way the human mind works is that if you're really focused on something and you lose that focus, it takes about 20 minutes to regain that focus again. Mm-hmm. So when you think about going through and checking your iPhone every 20 minutes, whatever it turns out to be, over 159 times a day, every time you do that, you're losing focus as far as being able to focus on solving a task. So there's a lot of dynamics that need to be worked through here as far as the human psyche, how it interacts with people, AI. It's all coming together at a very rapid rate. And I also maintain that, we had Moore's law around the processor development. I think AI is probably going to exceed that growth pattern.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, that is the last of the questions that we have submitted. So I'll turn it back over to you, Ron, to shoot us.
Perfect. So commercial time. Alithya, with his more than 25 years of experience, stands ready to support manufacturers on their digital transformation journey. Our expertise spans ERP, CRM, cloud applications, automated cybersecurity solutions, business intelligence, data analytics, AI, and machine learning. We can assist with everything from digital transformation roadmaps to boosting supply chain resilience and ensuring business continuity. If you're ready to turn these challenges into opportunities and embark on a path towards more efficient, secure, and compliant manufacturing operations, we encourage you to contact Alithya for a consultation. Thanks a ton, Steve and Chris, for sharing your invaluable expertise today. And thank you to our audience for sticking around and joining us for this insightful discussion. So I hope everybody has a fantastic day.